Good evening and welcome to Joyously Jewish, a celebration of Ann Zivitz Kientz. I'm Michelle Schipper, the CEO of the Goldstein Institute of Southern Jewish Life. I first knew of Ann as kids from our days at Jacob's Camp. We were reintroduced when she was president of Temple Sinai in New Orleans. And then I was thrilled when she joined the ISJL staff team, which she did twice, once while she lived in Jackson, and the second time after moving back to New Orleans with her beloved husband, Chris. Chris is online with us this evening. We hold him and Ann's family close to our hearts. I was fortunate to have Ann as a colleague and as a dear friend. We all have wonderful memories of Ann, and I encourage you to share those memories in the comments. Here is one of mine. A number of years ago, Ann walked into work at the ISJL office wearing her Saints jersey. I went to her office and said, Ann, a jersey really isn't professional business attire at the ISJL. She just looked at me and said, but the Saints are playing tonight. Okay, in honor of Ann, I am not only wearing a New Orleans Saints shirt, but also Mardi Gras beads, which is not my typical ISJL attire. We have planned a joyful evening that I think Ann would have liked very much. And while participating in this type of celebration, she may also have enjoyed a glass of wine or a cocktail. So please feel free to enjoy a beverage during this program and raise a toast to Ann. Not only was Ann the director of programming, but she also understood the importance of fundraising for the ISJL so that our cultural programs would continue to thrive. If you are so inclined, we welcome your donation in Ann's memory to cultural programming. The link to donate has been put in the comments. And now I would like to introduce our first musical celebration of the night, Joe Buchanan singing Small Town Tonight, a favorite of Ann's. Joe is a Houston-based musician whose music is a blend of Southern soul and country charm, grounded in the belief that there is always room at the table.
Yeah, well, it's a big world. It's a big world, and it's a big world outside of this life. We're a small town, we're a small town in here tonight. And we've crossed the desert, we've been through the sea, we've drifted apart, we've been close as can be, and we made new friends and new family. We're gathered tonight in peace. It's a big world, it's a big world, and it's a big world outside of this life. We're a small town, we're a small town in here tonight. If you're feeling alone, yeah, well, you're not on your own. We've all been there at times in our lives. So fill up your cup, yeah, come on, raise it up. I always saved you a place at our side. Yeah, and it's a big world, it's a big world, and it's a big world outside of this life. We're a small town, we're a small town in here tonight. Well, many road maps exist, there's a lot of exits. It's okay to get lost on the way. I'm a traveler too, and I'm glad I met you, because it looks like we're headed the same way. And it's a big world, it's a big world, and it's a big world outside of this light. Whoa, and we're a small town, and we're a small town in here tonight. tonight.
Thank you so much, Joe, for that amazing song. What a beautiful way to start. Good evening, I'm Rhonda Spinak, founder and artistic director of The Braid. When our theater troupe first came down south, our introduction to Southern Jewish hospitality was Anne, and we couldn't have had a warmer welcome. Her dedication to this region and her deep love for Jewish arts and culture and community were so inspiring that as soon as we wrapped up that tour, we began planning the next one. Anne always said that she was the biggest fan of anyone she put on the road, but we all became her fans too. Anne was a trained dancer who loved music, so while she loved all theater, she had a special fondness for musical theater. I'm honored to introduce my artistic collaborator, Shelly Goldstein, who will be singing For Good from the musical Wicked, which is an appropriate number because all of us who knew Anne have indeed been changed for good.
Anne, I loved you so much, and this song does personify you. I've heard it said that people come into our lives for a reason, bringing something we must learn, and we are led to those who help us most to grow if we let them, and we help them in return. Well, I don't know if I believe it's true, but I know I'm who I am today because I knew you. Like a comet pulled from orbit as it passes a sun, like a stream that meets a boulder halfway through the wood. Who can say if I've been changed for the better, but because I knew you, I have been changed for good. It well may be that we may never meet again in this lifetime. So let me say before we part, so much of me is made from what I've learned from you. You'll be with me like a handprint on my heart. And now whatever way our story ends, I know you have rewritten mine by being my friend. Like a ship blown from its mooring by a wind off the sea, like a seed dropped by a skybird in a distant wood. Who can say if I've been changed for the better, but because I knew you, I have been changed for good. And just to clear the air, I ask forgiveness for the things I've done you blame me for. But then again, we know there's blame to share, and none of it seems to matter anymore. Like a comet pulled from orbit as it passes a sun, like a stream that meets a boulder halfway through the wood. Who can say if I've been changed for the better, I do believe I have been changed for the better, and because I knew you, because I knew you, because I knew you, I have been changed for good.
Thank you, Shelly. That touching song moves us all and definitely changed all of us for the better. I'm Rabbi Lucy Dinner, and Rabbi Denise Ager and I grew up together at Jacob's Camp and beyond. Ann and I went to Sunday school at Temple Sinai in New Orleans together. We spent summers at Jacob's Camp. As teens, we led Temple Sinai's youth group, and our lives have been intertwined ever since, as both of us have chosen to take that early Southern Jewish experience and bring it into our passion and careers. In those youthful days, Ann's penchant for making others happy was already evident. You could not have found a stronger cheerleader for Nifty So, or Softy as we knew it then. She was the one recruiting new youth groupers, encouraging us to sing on the bus on the way to events, and easing the jitters of first-timers. Once, Ann and I were on separate Israel trips many years later. We met in a coffee house to catch up. Ann was like a child in the candy store. She was in Israel representing her Jewish community for an international delegation and studying Torah as it unfolded in the land. It was the convergence of her favorite things: Israel, Jewish community, and learning. One of the things that always struck me about Ann was her unbounded thirst for Jewish learning. A few years ago, she and I were driving to Jackson, Mississippi together, and she peppered me with questions about finding sources to dig deeper into Torah. The truth was that Ann had outpaced the learning of many of the Torah study groups that she was in, because studying Torah was, as our tradition says for her, like honey on her lips. I want to offer this teaching about the Nazarites in Ann's honor. The Nazarites were a group of ancient Israelites who assumed extra restrictions for a period of 40 days to reach heightened spiritual connections. After the Nazarites' period of separation, they had to offer a sin offering. 10th century commentator Rashi delved into why a sin offering. He taught the sin offering was because when the Nazarites separated from community, they abstained from joy. Yes, Judaism teaches that we are commanded to embrace joy, and refraining from joy is a sin. Our friend Ann Zivitz fulfilled that mitzvah of embracing joy like no one else I know. And that overflowing of joy, it's all of ours to this day. I know that each of us here is here today smiling, knowing how happy Ann would be to see us singing, telling stories, and sharing her quintessential joy.
Thank you, Lucy. Ann was our lifelong friend from the first day we met as cabin mates at Jacob's Camp when we were 13 years old. Ann was someone, as we know, had that joy of life. And most of all, she knew how to be a good friend. One of my favorite memories came during our kibbutz year in 1976 at camp. We wondered, Lucy and I wondered, how our friend Ann, the beautiful and regal ballet dancer, would be able to hack it living in the woods all summer. But Ann was game for anything, and she rolled up her sleeves and picked okra and drove the tractor and showered in the woods, just like the rest of us, a real trooper. When Ann danced, her heart showed. She floated, whether ballet or Israeli dancing at camp or numerous softy conclaves. Her joy invited others to share in that same joy. She had the best laugh. And when she went to college to dance, she told me actually a few years ago that she might have easily gone somewhere else to major in Jewish studies. That's how important her Judaism was to her. And later in life, she pivoted after being Temple Sinai president and following in her mother's footsteps to share that love of learning, and became an amazing Jewish educator and leading the religious school, and then to ISJL as a Jewish professional, bringing that same joy to so many others that we knew once as children. Her family meant the world to her, and she always caught us up on all of their activities. She left an indelible mark on us all and met us with that sunny smile, her joie de vivre that brought joy to so many of us. And now we'd like to invite Eliana Light to share a song that meant so much to all of us growing up at camp. It's Not by Might by Debbie Friedman. An award-winning songwriter and educator, Eliana empowers people to make Judaism their own through experiential education, song, and prayer.
Please sing and smile along if you know it, and even if you don't. Not by might and not by power, but by spirit alone shall we all live in peace. Let's try that again. Not by might. Not by might and not by power, but by spirit.
Thank you, Eliana, for that song. I know Debbie Friedman's songs and your music meant so much to Anne. My name is Beth Kander-Dauphin. I was Anne's friend for over a decade and her colleague for several of those years. And I can tell you, as everyone here has shared, no one was more joyfully Jewish than Anne Zivitz Kientz. As the director of programming for the Goldring-Woldenberg Institute of Southern Jewish Life, Anne connected thousands of people with Jewish cultural experiences. The absolute exuberance she brought to her work almost defies description. She was the biggest fan of every single presenter she put on the road. Jewish music, theater, books, lectures, every event she coordinated was exactly the sort of thing she would have been the first in line to attend. Anne's colleagues were all lifted up by her eager celebration of culture and community. Her enthusiasm was infectious. And even when it was a presenter or topic that made some of us raise our eyebrows, hey, have you read the book about whether or not Superman was circumcised? Ultimately, Anne could convince almost anyone to try almost anything. She was a team player, always ready to lend a hand and always championing her colleagues' efforts. She was a gracious host to those of us, many staff members and friends who stayed at Chez Kientz on trips to New Orleans. And she and Chris were the dinner guests that we wanted to be seated with at board and staff outings, and just made everything a little bit more fun. Our hearts still ache as we mourn the loss of our friend and colleague. In her absence, we are the ones who will strive to continue doing the work she found so sacred, serving the communities she held dear. May her memory always be for a blessing, and in her honor, may we all remember to embrace our life, our work, our whole identity with as much joy as Anne. And now for our last performer, we'd like to welcome Batsheva, a singer, songwriter, musician, and comedy writer, singing Adam and Eve.
Amen, Beth, for what you said. Went back a very long way, a decade or so with Anne as well. And for those of you who know me, I would have sung something in Hebrew or Yiddish or Ladino, but look, Anne loved the comedy. She loved it, so I picked one of her favorite songs. It does have a biblical source. They say that Eve gave Adam the apple. The poor man did not know what for, but he caved in to that first sin, and then the Lord kicked them out the door. They say we'd still be in the garden, smelling roses, if not for Eve. At least that's what the Pope and the Ayatollah and all the guys like that would like us to believe. Let's take a look at this old story when the garden was no more. For it was Eve who gave us farming, and it was Adam and the boys who gave us war. And nuclear technology that threatens our ecology, and sneaky male theology that dictates our biology. Freudian psychology maligns our sociology. Adam and his buddies owe us all a big apology. We're either sluts or witches, we are wise or we are bitches. If we point out all these glitches, then we're too big for our britches. All these years we've got the blame, we've played along and played the game. The story's lame and Eve was framed, 'cause she's a dame. The story's lame and Eve was framed, 'cause she's a dame. They say that Eve gave Adam the apple. Please forgive me if I sound crude. No matter who did what to whom that day, Eve is the one who has been screwed by nuclear technology that threatens our ecology, and sneaky male theology dictates our biology. Freudian psychology maligns our sociology. Adam and his buddies owe us all a big apology. We're either sluts or witches, we are wise or we are bitches. If we point out all these glitches, then we're too big for our britches. All these years we've got the blame, we've played along and played the game. The story's lame and Eve was framed, 'cause she's a dame. The story's lame and Eve was framed, 'cause she's a dame. La 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 la. That's it.
Batsheva, thank you so much for that funny song. I know how much Anne enjoyed it. And thank you to those who participated in word or song this evening, those who will share their memories of Anne, and all of you who joined us in this night of remembrance and celebration. As we prepare to conclude our evening together, I want to reflect on a moment from the summer of 2020. All of the ISJL staff were working from home at that time, as so many of us were. We gathered together via Zoom one day to have an ISJL staff talent show. The only criteria was that the talent must be showcased in a minute or less. It was epic. Anne once shared the following: when it comes to my job coordinating cultural programs for the ISJL, the thing that makes me want to get up and dance is the fact that every day I get to help communities celebrate. And tonight we celebrate you and your impact on us all. Let's dance.
Hi, you guys. The last time I tap danced was longer ago than all of the fellows were alive, so wish me luck. That's it.